I'm going to start with Wizpig. Wizpig is a wizard. And this, for me, is highlighted in this sort of third eye jewel that he wears, because it kind of, he's already representative of the tradition of kind of awakening, enlightenment kind of mythologies. And he is the face on which the plot of the game in the manual is written. He's this huge sort of backdrop for the story. And so I think that's why I want to start with him. Because he seems to be not just a character, but also a location, perhaps. You know, he is the ground on which the story is written, but he is also the mountain which then becomes the game's kind of final confrontation, right? He is the mountain. For a certain period of time, he kind of becomes a face in the mountain. This wasn't always so. It is kind of implied that Taj used to be and has been forever the guardian of the island and lived in the mountain. This could mean that he actually lived in the mountain as a sort of as an inhabitant of it, or that he is the mountain or was the mountain. And of course, a certain aspect of this theme plays out at the end of the game, because Taj becomes the mountain once Wizpig has been defeated. And there is kind of like a mirroring between these two characters, because Taj also has a third eye kind of enlightenment jewel to represent him as a character. And you know, these are the only two characters who do, and they switch places as faces of the mountain. So they have an aspect of place, of location to them, right? Because we are in the mountain, around the mountain. The mountain is almost the central hub of the game, and maybe kind of the eye of the storm, the center of the mandala. Now, so this is kind of maybe a way to begin, is just this idea that there is some kind of an uncanny aspect to Wizpig as a character. He is not entirely a villain, I think, because he represents so many things that are so often in mythology associated to good things, like enlightenment. And his switching places with Taj kind of speaks to that. He kind of reminds me of the typical image of the dragon in fairy tales, where the dragon is the guardian of the treasure and is a fearful creature, but it is almost as if the character who confronts their own fear of the dragon confronts the dragon, as if the dragon is the fearful image we have of it, right? In a sense, if I were to speculatively say that Wizpig somehow represents some of these kind of religious ideas of enlightenment, then I think it would be natural for the ego to be afraid of that, in a sense, right? Because it is such an alien idea. And it is, in a sense, an ego death, right? Enlightenment, this whole sort of third eye symbolism would represent a death of ego. So that it almost seems as if Wizpig here simply represents the fear that one may have towards ego death, or something like that. Now, so that's one place to start, right? He, I think, represents enlightenment in many other ways. Not only does he have this sort of third eye jewel on his forehead, but his eyes literally glow in many of the artworks of the game. His eyes almost seem like flashlights. Like his eyes are illuminated. And then there is almost a sort of an uncanny association between him and light itself, because at the very end of the game, when we think that everything has been solved and we're celebrating, he's hiding behind the lighthouse. So again, a place of light, right, of fire. With, I may add, the sun shining strikingly right behind it, almost as if there were a thematic association, again, between the light of one and the light of the other. And that is, it's almost as if Wizpig then represents the lighthouse, right? Possibly his own third eye being the tip of the lighthouse in that sense. And of course, the lighthouse then becomes a rocket and ascends up into space, into the heavens. So, yeah, there is, to begin with, already kind of a strange association between Wizpig and light, and maybe even fire, right? He is somehow in control of lightning, right? Of big blasts of electricity. And is even seen wielding, a burning tree. A tree which, I may add, is decorated with leaves that are stars. So, stars are light, big fireballs. So these trees covered with stars and then in flames, it's almost as if they're trying to represent something, the trees I mean, that has something to do with, again, with the heavens, with light as being something that is above ground, symbolically. It is funny, maybe to just stay on this issue of the trees again, there is one piece of promotional art where the balloons are also decorated with stars and are shown alongside the trees in a way that almost, at least it makes me want to see a similarity between them. The balloons and the trees are elements with stars on them that somehow, you could say that they grow upwards, right? A tree is something that grows from the ground up, and it spreads its branches upwards. A balloon also, in this game, these are all helium balloons which go up. So, considering that the game's sort of finale is also an ascent via rocket, a rocket which is a lighthouse, again, and it is an ascent via lighthouse upwards into, we may speculate, the source of light, be it the sun or the star, right? That kind of an idea. So it's funny then to think that, of course, Diddy Kong is the representative of the star. He has a star on his clothes. It's one of his symbols visually. so that when we see Wizpig's big face in the plot description in the manual, I find it interesting also that the plot is formatted in such a way that the whole of the left column of text deals with Diddy Kong and his kind of intro into the story, and then the right side of the text deals entirely with Timber and his side of the story. So we have two different locations. We have Donkey Kong Island and Timber's Island placed side by side on Wizpig's face. So, well, yeah, that's sort of enough to begin with. And I'll keep on thinking about it.